Hey Point Loma, I'm Mike Masso, and you're watching Spill the Beans, a show where we interview professors ranging from light roast questions to dark roast questions. Today we are a special guest, Dr. Dean Nelson from the Literature Department. How are you doing, Professor?
Mike, nice to run into you here on the lawn.
Oh yes, very casually.
Yeah.
And so we're going to be asking him a few questions, so let's get brewing. Alright, let's start with the basics. Where are you from?
I grew up in Minneapolis. Started a little earlier in Chicago where I was born, but from age 5 until I went away to college, Minneapolis, Minnesota. You may have heard of Minnesota. It's kind of a suburb of Canada.
Yeah, I've heard of it. I recognize the accent. Sounds just like a Canadian accent.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes. What about, speaking of there, what about your childhood memories? Got any favorite ones?
You know, everybody complains about the winter in Minnesota, but those are some of my best memories. People in Minnesota just put on more clothes and just did stuff outside. It didn't seem to slow you down at all. So I would say some of my best memories were skiing and tobogganing, playing hockey, all of those things that you do outside when you're in Minnesota.
Yeah, I hear snow. It's like that white stuff that falls from the sky. Apparently it's really cold. It's nicer than hail.
It is.
Okay.
It is, and yeah, I can't describe it any better than you just did.
Yeah, I'm a San Diegan, so the most I've had is hail, which is like tiny little ice cubes.
Yeah, it's not like that.
Okay, that's nice. So speaking of when you were a kid, what was your dream job when you were that age?
I really had two. One, I always assumed and dreamed that I'd be a doctor. I know it's kind of a scary thought to have me come into a hospital room and tell you to, whatever. But this is, I always assumed I'd be a medical doctor. I think secretly I wanted to be a pro hockey player also, but doctor, that was the safe bet for me. That's where I was headed.
Was that something your parents proved? Like, yes, be a doctor, very good.
No, my parents didn't even know where that came from. No, and my brothers were not into science or anything like that. They were both musicians. So no, the doctor thing was just kind of out of the blue. So I don't know where that came from, but that's what I wanted to do. As you can see, it didn't work out, but that was the goal.
For the better, for my benefit.
There you go.
So got any hobbies besides writing?
When I was a kid, the biggest thing I did probably was all this medical stuff. Everything, I'm serious. Everything I did, I wanted scalpels and stethoscopes and all that sort of stuff. And so I was always trying to do little experiments on things.
Microscope. And,
yeah, all of that. So I would say that was kind of a hobby. The writing was a hobby in that I loved writing humor columns.
Yeah.
So high school, whatever. When I got to college, even started a little underground newspaper. So that was kind of an avocation. But writing, before it became my vocation, was also a hobby.
Oh, cool. So what brought you to San Diego?
Point Loma contacted me about the fact that they had just approved starting a journalism program.
Oh.
And they were looking at people to come out and actually be the person to get it started. So they contacted me about that. I was working as a business reporter back in Minneapolis after I'd been a journalist for a while. And so I came out to check it out. I didn't have any intention to stay here.
Yeah.
I think this is most San Diegan stories is, well, let's just come and do it for a couple of years and go back to something familiar.
Yeah, my dad has the same story.
Yeah, exactly. And for me, that was 35 years ago.
So is that how long you've been teaching or how long you've been teaching?
35 years.
35 years.
I had never taught anything before I came here. So a lot of my colleagues, they're trained in sort of the education aspect of it, not me. I'd never even taught Sunday school or Bible school.
So why teach at Point Loma then?
It was, at first, it was just going to be one of the stops on the train. I didn't think I'd stay here. But once I got here, I realized there's actually a collection of scholars here.
Yeah.
And there are some very smart people who teach here, and being part of their community, I found very attractive and very appealing. And so once I was here and taught here for a while and realized, oh my, you could kind of live in this sort of a culture of scholarship and community, I found that something I wanted to stay with.
Oh, I get that. This actually leads us to deeper questions. So I noticed that you practice what you preach. What makes you want to juggle both being a professor and a writer?
It wouldn't make sense to me. Wait a second, was there supposed to be coffee involved in this?
Oh, yes. Speak of the devil, right?
Oh, yeah. Here we go. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Yeah, and same, looking up your address here.
Yep.
Yeah, thank you. So here's the thing about teaching and writing. If I was just teaching about writing, would you have any respect for me as a professor if I wasn't also writing? It doesn't make any sense, right? But that isn't the only reason I do it, just for a perspective. I like the combination. I like this, the fact that I'm working on a story all the time or working on a book all the time, and then I can come into a class and say, I just had this interview this morning. You wouldn't believe, what went down, or I just had this experience, or maybe I get called out of class like I did several years ago by the New York Times, asking me to go cover a school shooting that happened here in San Diego. So I think that combination of teaching and writing is what energizes me the most. It's the both.
Wow.
I've never had the Thanksgiving blend before.
Ooh, and how is it?
It's very good.
Oh, I'm glad you like it.
I recommend it. I'm feeling like an American. But yeah, sorry. Go
God
ahead.
bless America. Yeah.
God bless America.
So
Long may she wave.
So what were some of your favorite types of stories to write about?
I think the stories that attracted me to journalism way back when are the same ones that attract me to journalism now, which are stories that help you understand what it means to be a human being. So to tell a specific story about a person in some kind of a situation, whether a wonderful situation or an awful situation, just being able to authentically portray that person in his or her situation, and a reader is moved by that, that's a really gratifying thing. It was at the very beginning of my career, and it still is. If I can tell a story about some immigrants trying to sneak into the United States, and I can tell it in such a way that we actually understand, and it complicates our thinking a little bit about what we think about immigrants.
Yes.
But likewise, if I can tell a story about a Border Patrol officer, and I can complicate your thinking about that person, we have a better understanding of what it means to be part of the human species. I think when we write those stories, those are still the stories that attract me.
I mean, art is just human expression, just trying to figure yourself out, so it makes a lot of sense.
It is, but it's the same in film, right?
Yes.
You make one of the things that I would assume moves you about film is if, that moves me because I understand something about humanity.
Yes.
As a result of that.
Like I love the philosophy of writing and film, and that way it gives you again a better understanding of humanity. And I think you put it together beautifully. And it actually brings us down to our deeper questions, our dark roast questions, if you will.
Is this the higher caffeinated? Because doesn't dark roast technically have less caffeine?
Not many people know that. I'm actually quite impressed. Yes, blonde roast has the most. Medium roast.
I've done my research, Mike.
I'm impressed. I applaud you for that. And so, how does writing connect back to your faith?
I would love to just give you a Bible verse.
What, like Colossians 3:23?
Yeah, whatever. But here's the way it connects, I think, the most. Is one of the things we get to do as writers is we get to bear witness. We get to bear witness to the complexity of what it means to be human, the magnificence of grace and love and shalom in the world that I think God is constantly doing. And we get to bear witness to that in our storytelling. That makes me a deeper believer in God. And I think it makes me a deeper follower of Jesus where I just say, you know, sometimes I'm going to call things into accountability. That's what journalists do.
Yeah.
But sometimes I'm also just going to bear witness and say, let me honor you by telling your story. Let me just bear witness to who you are in this world. I think that honors the image of God that is in that person, and so that's how it connects to my faith.
Wow, that's really, really well thought out.
Well, you gave me the questions in advance, so
I had to know that.
I had to Google the answer.
Oh, like what most students do. Oh, sorry. If you could see God right now and talk with him, what would be the one question you'd ask him?
Why did you make me love ice hockey so much but not give me the skills to actually do it very well? That's still kind of one of my beefs. You know, why would you make me so passionate? I still play in a league. I do, I promise I do. I still play in a league, but we're all just such losers. And I'm just thinking, why do I have this passion? Why is this the thing that gets me out of bed in the morning? And I'm not very good. So God's got some explaining to do.
God's a sense of humor. That's something I've noticed in life.
No, I think he's just bitter. I think he just hates me.
No, God
the question is not why does God hate me? Why does he hate me so much?
I think Jesus would disagree with that, but yeah, what do I know? So let's go into super philosophical. What do you think is the purpose of life?
The purpose of life is to bear witness to the activity and the work and the love and the grace and mercy of God in the world. And that, in my opinion, comes out the best is when we serve one another. So the purpose of life is for me to help you find your purpose in life.
Well,
now you gave me that, like I just showed you a puppy or something. I just gave you a pearl, man. You don't get it doesn't get a,
I hope I give you purpose by being a student in your class.
Oh.
All right, so let's dial back from the super deep and philosophical rabbit hole that we are in.
Mm-hmm.
And this is the part where you get to plug about yourself. So what books have you been working?
Something like this? I just happen to have this
Oh,
with
really?
me. This is my newest book. Maybe you haven't heard me talk about it today.
No, not at all.
So it's this is a book, HarperCollins. It just came out this year. It's called Talk to Me. It's about interviewing, and it's about doing what you do. In fact, you could have read this ahead of this, and it would have made this a much better experience for both of us.
Single tear goes down my face.
Yeah, so that's my latest book. I do a lot of writing for magazines and stuff. I did do a book about the 7 sacraments.
Oh, yes.
That's this one.
Yes.
It's called God Hides in Plain Sight, where I apply the 7 sacraments of the ancient church into everyday life. So there you go. Those are my two
What
most
about
recent
future
books.
work? Are you allowed to spill the beans on that?
Yeah,
Or?
I'm actually working on a book project with a 97-year-old woman. I'm writing it in her voice.
Wow.
About her life as a business leader and a philanthropist and a person who lives well and leads well. So it's really sort of a leadership kind of book, and I'm excited about that.
Oh, that's fantastic. Well, on that note, this concludes our show here on Spill the Beans. Thank you for watching, and thank you, Dean, for being here.
It was my pleasure, and I hope we can stay here and finish this.
Yes.
Or was this just a prop? Can I actually drink this?
Oh, yes, by all means. Cheers.
Bottoms up.
All right, Dean, so what's your favorite song to sing?
Well, I assume I have to say a praise chorus. Mama just killed a man, put a gun against his head. We almost got hit here. Yeah. We're gonna die in this intersection. He's just a poor boy from a small family, saving his life from this monstrosity.
Come easy, go, let me go.
Bismillah,
not let you go, let it go. Bismillah, not let you go, let it go. Bismillah.